Hey guys, how you going? Campbell here. This recording today is basically us just having a chat. We were supposed to be having a business meeting for the live event, but it turned into a chat, as it always does. And so Kelly hit the record button, and an hour and a half later, yeah, we finished the conversation. So we thought we would share it with you guys. So this is just, yeah, a natural conversation between Kelly, JC, and myself. So enjoy.
I'm just
We res-
recording just in
yeah,
case. It's good shit.
we res- so the Cathars were like the pure ones. That's what they called them in that region of France. I think they were in the Languedoc area of France. And because the Roman Catholic Church saw that as like really prime real estate, they were trying to get them to convert to Catholicism, but they had their own little way of doing things, and they were very happy. And they were so good at what they did that everyone around them that were not Cathars respected them, and they saw them as beautiful people, and they just lived in this harmonious society without money.
Mm.
It was like the society, like Anastasia society. It was this beautiful way. They were kind of sustainable. They lived in a sustainable sort of way with the earth, and they helped each other out. And they had this very strong spiritual belief system about who they were, and they would receive this guidance from their light bodies, um and everybody respected them. It wasn't like they were clashing with the Catholics around them, but it was the Catholic Church that they would not bow to the Catholic Church. So it got to the point where these bishops and stuff went down to where they were, dressed almost like as this royalty, like how back then the Pope and all of that, they were dressed, and they tried to approach them and make them convert, and they didn't want anything to do with them. They were like, the Cathars were like, you don't even resonate with us, right? You're not part of our society, kind of thing. So they just turned against them. And so they got really infuriated by this. And then they decided that they would send in these troops to go in and massacre all of them. And the amount of massacring of the Cathars was, um, I was listening to the podcast, and he was saying that if you compared what the Nazis did, the amount of human slaughter that they did would be 0.06 of the population. What the Roman Catholic Church did to the Cathars was equivalent to 0.26% of the population of the earth. That's how many they massacred. And they massacred them with military might. And the reason, you know how they did it? They basically bribed anyone who wanted to join their military. They only had to be a member for 30 days in the military. They promised them that if they did this, if they went in and massacred these people, they would be given land. They would be given a ticket to heaven, basically, and a surety that they were going to heaven. And they would be given some other sort of like approval by the royal family. And so that's how they got these troops to go in and just kill men, women, and children and massacre a lot of them because they wouldn't agree with their belief systems.
Right, right. Give them land they don't own, and
And
then
then they took the land. They took the
The
Languedoc,
same
region.
story. It's the same fucking
exactly.
story
This is what's
over and
happened to
over
all the
again.
indigenous tribes. It's anyone who doesn't buy the story, right? If you don't buy the script, man, you're out of the play.
Yep, Avatar 2. I just watched it yesterday with when we were down at the horse camp, and it's just so shocking. Like the amount of subliminals. It's such an intense film. But yeah, it's the same story. The military comes in, slaughters all the indigenous, slaughters all the beautiful animals. It's just fucked. And you're just watching it, think, wow, this is the same story,
It's
replicated.
always about power and might. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, bleh. I
But
can't.
that's what I'm saying. We act as though we're the end of the human race, or we're the last, we're so progressed and it's not going to happen to us or whatever. But what's to say we're not just part of this, again, repeating cycle of we're going to have these, like we might have 200 years, because the Cathars were around 1100s to the 1200s. So they might have had 100, 200 years of peace and living in this beautiful harmonious way, and then along came this might again and just took over, right? So what's to say that that cycle is not going to happen again? We don't know.
Unless it flips over to the Christian polarity, and then it's the satanic agenda that keeps getting taken out. But we've seen the Christian agenda as well. That's exactly the same as the
whatever glasses you see things through. Yeah, but whatever glasses you see things through. That's where this podcast, you've got to listen to it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
By Paul Anthony Wallace, or Paul Wallace. Yeah, I think he's a minister, but he has this, and I just downloaded his book. It's on Audible, so you might be able to get it. It's called is it Escape, the Eden series? I think it's called just give me a second. I wrote it down.
As long as it's not East of Eden.
No.
That was rude, wasn't it?
It's in my phone. I just downloaded it. I want to listen to it. But I think his take on he's just amazing. The way he explains things is so articulate. A real academic. Escaping from Eden. And I'll just read the little blurb that it says.
The Eden, right? The electric
Eden, yeah.
The electric den, man. That's where we're kept.
He was explaining about the Elohim.
Yeah, okay.
And he was explaining what they were, what Elohim was in this particular podcast. So it says here, the familiar stories of the book of Genesis affirm that God made the universe, planet Earth, and you and me. However, various anomalies in the text clue us that we are not reading the original version of these stories. So what were the original narratives, and what did they say about who we are, and where we all came from? What was the earlier history of human origins, as almost obliterated from the Hebrew scriptures in the 6th century BC and suppressed from Christian writing in the 2nd and 3rd centuries AD? And what does any of this have to do with extraterrestrials? He incorporates all these things like, was Jesus an alien? He talks about all of this stuff. And in this particular podcast I listened to, he was talking about the ascension process. He actually talks about ascension. And it's a very old concept. It's a really ancient thing. Escaping from Eden will take you on a journey around the world and into the mythologies of ancient Sumeria, Mesoamerica, India, Africa, and Greece to reveal a profound secret hidden in plain sight in the text of the Bible. Far-reaching and deeply controversial, this audiobook points to the truths about ourselves, the universe, and everything which you may have long suspected but dared not speak. So he does see it from a Christian point of view, but he also studies all these ancient, indigenous cultures as well. So he goes around and he sort of pieces together these creation stories from all these places. It's called Escaping from Eden, and it's Paul Wallace, Wallis. So he would be really interesting to talk to, but I think the level of academia I have to listen to a few more of his podcasts to get what he's talking about. But he talks about amazing stuff, and he pieces together detailed histories. And then I just think it's a great foundation to understand, because if you understand things from how he's explaining history, then it helps us piece together things with what we're talking about, and how things can be cyclical. Like, rather than we see it as an unusual anomaly, it may be something that's been repeated before.
That's what fortune telling is, or seers, and that really, like, most of them just knew the cycles, right?
And that's why I actually liked David Wilcock's information years ago, because that's what he did. He was all about the synchronicity of history, and it just cycling. The same people, they look the same,
Well, that whole thing, what I feel? I feel like the people like Jordan Maxwell and David Wilcock and these people, I actually think they're gatekeepers, and I think that they're just, a lot of the information we think, because all they are is people that talk to the lay person, right? And they're people going, look, there's the pineal gland, thing again. You know, there's that little mystery, or you know, Jordan Maxwell talking about all the symbology and the whole idea of the dawn. But this stuff is available to all of us. Like we could have found this research elsewhere. They just made it more widespread. I think Dolores Cannon might be one of those people too.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're aware that they are being used like that, but I think that they're like gatekeepers, and they're floating out narratives that then become something that are fixed in the culture, and then we all start repeating them as though it's true without researching.
Yeah.
Right. So then we go and for example, how many times have we heard the story of that there's volunteers, right? That there's volunteers that have come in waves, and we've entered into this matrix to help the humans, blah, blah, blah. So that's been floated into the narrative by Dolores Cannon, who claims that, now, how do we know it's true? Who claims that thousands of her clients that she's hypnotized have been saying this in their hypnosis. But what's to say that that is not an idea that's been put into the consciousness, and then as you're being hypnotized, you're feeling that. So a little while ago, there was that story of the solar flash. Now, I got pulled into that as well, right? The whole idea of there's going to be this event, the event. Everyone's talking about the event. Dolores Cannon's people were talking about the event. That Alison Coe, she was, her thing went viral, and someone had talked about the solar flash event. All these different people who were doing healing on people, everyone was getting downloads about the event, about the solar flash event. I'm playing with the idea now that a lot of these things are being infiltrated by these archons, and they're actually, because they're attached to us, these entities, they're working with our consciousness, and they're manipulating what we are seeing. And so a lot of seers and psychics believe what they're getting is true, and then they're floating that out into a narrative.
Well, I mean, yeah, you know, we've all heard of the Akashic records and all this kind of, I mean, could there be a false electric Akashic records that people are tuning into, and the more you get into that grid, the more you tune into their false records.
That's what Cherie, so Chris and Cherie Geo, they're my friends, they've been saying that for years now. They've been saying the Akashic records are of this matrix. It's not beyond this matrix. If you're going to tap in, you have to tap in outside of the matrix, beyond this matrix, beyond the demiurge's realm, right? So maybe the Akashic records is only the records of this realm.
And that's the thing is, well, I mean, is that, so this is the thing, like, is this realm, you know, is this the prison planet? Is it controlled by the Archon?
They believe they do.
By the Archon, and we've been imprisoned, or was it created by us? More like the story, and the Archon's kind of latched on and then sort of spread its influence, shall we say?
I think it depends on the layer. It depends on the layer in where you. So I talked about this in my number 222 video, where I went into this kind of very meditative state. My friend Harms was facilitating me, and I started getting all this knowledge, and I was like, hang on a minute, it's us, we're doing it. It's like, so our organic consciousness is the creator beings that created this and created all the layers, right? But depending on where we're observing, where our consciousness is placed, we believe we are the captive, but maybe we are also the captor, you know, like maybe we are also, it just depends on where we're observing it from. It's created in order for the soul to evolve and to know itself. The whole duality is created.
We saw Uncle Lewis the other day, and I asked him, I said, he was talking about the dream time, and I said, well, is the dream time when we, as, you know, fractals of God, got together and created this dream, and then we jumped into it? And he said that's exactly what happened. Yeah, he said 100%.
It's like the did you know I put this video out called way back, and I read it. It was a essay by Charles Eisenstein, and it was called The Volunteer. Was it called The Volunteers? Hang on. It was about the shaman breathing the volunteers into this realm to help the humans. And it was that whole idea, the concept of us, and a lot of the Native Americans believe that that they say that as well. I was listening to some of the Navajo and the different Dene, I think they call themselves. Dene is like the different indigenous people of America. They were saying how they dreamed themselves into this realm.
Yeah.
So this is the Maya. That's where the word Maya comes from, is that this is the dream realm and that we come in here.
This is the thing. If we're the creators, then by believing this is a prison planet, is that not what we're creating? Like,
we create the duality, yeah.
Hear it all the time, right? It's a bad place, it's a prison planet, we're slaves, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, just by repeating that and believing that, we become that, right? And to the point where we start acting like that. Like, that's why everyone's walking around obeying rules, because they believe that someone else rules them.
Actually, I just watched last night. Did you guys see the documentary Plandemic? Did you see that when it came out?
I never saw it, but I heard it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're up to the third one, and we just watched it because we didn't want to watch anything boring. And anyway, yeah, no, they were talking about exactly this. The question they asked was, how do you get a whole a population of a whole planet to basically do these crazy things? And they went through and studied every single similar uprising through all of history, and always the same tactics. And it was just really interesting, very similar to what we're talking about now.
And that's what the whole Q narrative was, because they had to placate. It was like Operation Trust. They had to placate those patriots who were gun wielding patriots. Because if you did something like that to them without placating them, there's going to be an uprising. Well, there wasn't an uprising, because what were they told? To sit back, have some popcorn. It was all taken care of. Don't worry, guys. We've got it. We've got this.
Now that they've come out of it, like, they've all sort of forgotten what went on by the looks of it, because they're all just ranting and raving about the Trans Am agenda. They've sort of forgotten what the last 3 years were and what the actual point of this was.
One of the techniques that the first technique they pointed out that is repeated over and over again in all of these situations is you have to create loneliness. Like, you have to generate a state of isolation in order for people then to be seeking community. And that'll come anyway. So with the last one, we saw them saying, we're in this together. That was the big slogan of COVID. We're in this
where we go one. And what about
where we go all? Yep. So we've got the two sides forming that community, like, crazy, huh?
And then if you go with Jason Brashear's thing, that there's going to be some sort of an event that's on the surface of the earth, and then maybe getting us to be distracted while they all go underground, then what is that doing then? Is that going to create? Are they doing that? Do you think that they are, that they're creating something up here above ground so that everyone else can, so that all the bad guys can get away? Because do you remember at the start of COVID, there were stories that all these CEOs of these top corporations quit.
Yep.
And a lot of them had hidden holiday homes in New Zealand.
Yep, I remember. Yep.
Right. And they were all taken off there, and bunkers and stuff. And they were claiming that, there was a lot of underground stuff, or like a lot of mansions and stuff out there that they were all running away to.
Yep.
Like, why is New Zealand such this gorgeous place, right? Gorgeous place, and the own inhabitants can't afford to live there. They leave and they come to Australia.
The same's happening to Australia, right? They're pricing it out of the price range of the people who live here, and I agree. It's because it's valuable land. They want to take it all.
Well, they actually said, the second tactic is that the tyrant, whoever the tyrant is, will go after land. That's the second tactic, and they'll sell to the population this idea, and they said it, this idea of sustainable off-grid tiny homes living in these little.
It's all part of that veganism's part of it.
Where we shrink ourselves down, but it's sold as a freeing thing, but actually you're shrinking yourself. So instead of getting more abundant with our use of like resources and energy and having bigger and bigger lives, they actually sell this story of
this idea of not enough.
Minimalists and that, and they're like, I saw a video and there was someone and he was hiking around on a bike, and he's like, I got down to 12 items, I only own 12 things. I'm
Yeah.
like, if
Yeah.
you want to do that, that's cool, but that's not abundance.
It's
Abundance
not
is,
abundant.
I mean, no one knows what abundance is, but really, because we've been taught so much of you can't have that. If you have too much, it's wrong. Plus, you got to pay for everything.
Mm.
But we should really have whatever we want.
Yeah.
We should have more than what we want.
Yeah, well, they're
Right.
also linking the Black Lives Matter movement again through history, not just for the last couple of years, but through history, and that their job is to basically ignite violent protests that bring the property values down whole neighborhoods, and then they sweep all the big black rock or sweeping in by and that this is the number one tactic that happened throughout
I mean,
COVID.
yeah.
I'm just getting
It's probably, and there's probably historical cycles of this all the time.
Yeah.
And when you think about, like, people are complaining about Chinese people coming in and taking over a lot of they really, back in 2012, they made the prices just go through the roof in Sydney. I know that. Doubled in price within a year or two, the value of stuff, and priced everyone out of the market. And so we have all these investors from China coming in here. What's to say that that's not the agenda? Because this has happened before all across Europe, where a whole race just takes over and sweeps over and takes over a whole region or a nation and completely rewrites it and makes it their own.
China now owns most of the arable land in Australia. All the growing land's Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that is basically everything you guys just talked about is that third documentary.
Which it's all division, isn't it? Like it's all division.
It is. It's all division.
Even the land thing is like it's going to end up as the haves and have-nots. Division.
It gets so fucking boring. Oh my God.
I know. Well, it is. It's so boring. I sat there this morning. I've been doing this new thing. So it's a bit like a 12-step program where it's you taking personal accountability. You kind of do like personal inventory. So you do it in the morning and the night, and you just write down what you're afraid of. I am in fear of blah, blah, blah. And it just all starts coming out, right? And you just start seeing these patterns of like, wow, my thoughts are really, and you think it's going to spiral you into despair as you're writing this down, but it doesn't. It kind of transmutes it and it comes out of it. And then if you have resentment, you start to feel that there's resentment about something, right? So you start going, I am resentful because I am in fear of. You have to write because I am in fear of, because really at the bottom of resentment is fear. And then at the end, you write, you ask for God or your creator to thank you for revealing this to me and for showing me my fears, so that, and for taking these away. And you thank him for taking them away. And it's quite a freeing thing. You start to feel the anxiety lifting and pulling out of you. And I think that in doing that every single day, it's a transformational thing. It's different than woo-woo stuff, right? Because the woo-woo stuff is like, oh, wear some sage and do this or do some tuning forks or whatever, and that's all good. And even verbalizing, like a lot of us are, like I shared a video where you do a decree of sovereignty, and that's a verbal thing, but writing it is completely different. It's your mind, all that stuff that's attached to you, all that fear that's in you, that you haven't even vocalized, because no one's going to read it, because you rip it up afterwards, right? No one's going to read it. So you can be as free as you want. You can write whatever you want, and you start feeling this, wow, I'm holding this fear. Like, here I am, I'm this fearless person, but I actually have these deeply rooted fears. And what I found was these patterns. Each day that I've done this, I've gone, wow, it keeps being boiled down to these same fears, these root fears. Not enough, right? So not having enough. Security is a major one, of like financial security of your family, whatever. And not being good enough, that kind of, basically that's the fears, right?
Programming.
And the programming, right? And every time I do this, I go, wow, when is that? There's never a bottom of the fear. It's like, wow, these are just really root fears, human fears. And they got us, it's like, because if you try and pull away from the system, right? Because that's what these Cathars were doing. They were pulling away from the system, and they weren't part. So for them to put an army in, right, for these people that have they're not waging war on anyone, for them to pull an army in to destroy these people, they had to declare it that it was a threat to the crown and a threat to religion, right? And then they could go in and kill and basically massacre them, and had a right to do that because they were a threat in some way, right? But if this whole isolation thing, I mean, that also feeds into the entities, because entities isolate you. So when you have schizophrenia or any kind of entity attachment phenomena, I know this happened to me with the Ouija board. I'll tell you about my Ouija board experience. Woo!
It'll be on 2 Aussie Bears Part 3, where Kelly.
Yeah. They isolate you and pull you into this tunnel of despair. They sort of start, and these thoughts start cycling in from these entities, and that's what they do. And that's what would have happened to a great majority of people in Melbourne in particular, that felt isolated, and they really had to do a number on them. What do you think's going on in Melbourne? That led me to my first video. What do you think's going on in Melbourne? Why? Because I know when I drove past fucking Canberra, I could feel there was something like really heavy underneath the ground, and it was weird. It was very weird driving past Lake George and then seeing, like, I don't know, the clouds were weird. Everything was weird. There's a weird energy going into Canberra, and I think Melbourne's the same. When I flew in last year, there was a weird heaviness to everything.
It's Gotham City. It's full of vampires. And isn't it connected to Canberra with tunnels?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and this is the thing, right? Like if they're, we talk about the, these billionaires and that buying up Australia and New Zealand, Melbourne. Kidman's on, God, they own half.
Kidman's own, what is it, fifth of the world's land?
Do they really that much? Yeah, because they own most of the Australian desert.
Yep.
So what's underground, right? But has Antarctica got something to do with this? Because we're very, these places are very close to Antarctica, right? Like then is there more out there?
I think there is, yeah. I think my last video about Antarctica that I did, which I needed to do a part 2 too, which I never did. It was getting to this Crystal City. Sort of, I was about to get there, and then I got interrupted, and I didn't finish the thing. But
I think
there was blood goo.
Melbourne feels to me like it might have a fragment of the Ben Ben stone there. Like it might. Have you seen the stuff about the Ben Ben stone? Yeah. So I reckon Melbourne has got basically a false grid over it. Like I think it's got some sort of dome-like thing over it. Everyone there is in a state of stasis, like really, like it's really.
That's what Canberra felt like.
Yeah,
it felt like there was this like an electrical grid over it or something, and I could see my mind's eye as I was driving past this. Sorry for interrupting, but do you know that in the Vatican, that thing that looked like a serpent?
No,
have you seen that image of the
inside it? Like that new hall
building.
They built,
yeah, the building inside it looked like a serpent. That's what I saw in my head underground, and it felt like an energy of a reptilian energy.
Yep. Well, Melbourne definitely I've always known as the headquarters of the pedophile network. Like that's always been on my radar. But yeah, there's definitely a grid over it. We was very tangible when we left it and went back in, and left it, went back in, like, and just how easily it basically, totally took over a whole population, like so dramatically. And so many of the people we know are in Melbourne, and they are not thriving. Like they are not sick. In a state of thriving. They're not. It's not just that they're sick. They're also their attitudes, their energies have got really. Oh, I don't even know. I mean, I can see it playing out. Like they're moving. Their energies are moving more to this sort of like inorganic template. They're moving more towards this artificial. Yeah, it's very, and it's just like it's integrated, and it's just
15-minute cities, man.
And there's a lot of people who I saw at the start of all of this before, I had a channel, I kept seeing Melbourne. I was like, I could see this mass exodus of people coming out of Melbourne and moving up to Queensland or northern New South Wales, right?
Yeah.
But yet I know a lot of people that are still stuck there.
Yeah.
They can't sell, they want to leave, they can't leave.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Tui and I've always said it was the biggest mission to get out of Melbourne. Like it felt like we had quicksand on our feet, like it really was.
Yeah.
And both of us have moved quite a lot this lifetime, but that shift was really hard. It was hard work. It wasn't easy, and it took us months and months and months. Like honestly, it was.
What was the thing that caused the issue?
I don't know. It was just like there was just like it's hard to even explain. I haven't really even been able to grapple with it. It was just like this insipid binding. It was just like you really had to really put, like, it took, you had to push out so hard. You had to get rid of your life there. You had to like fully shut it down and sell it up, and then you had to get out of there to find somewhere to go. Like it was a big fucking movement that happened, and if you were struggling for resources, it would have just been so fucking hard. Like, although I say that, and a lot of people here who've moved here, they pulled it off, but it took like people to really be in a united team. Like that was a big, like, united partnership, and really.
Do you think it was the electrical stuff? Because I know that in Victoria, unlike other states, you can't get your smart meter removed.
Yeah,
from your
that's been
house.
Yeah,
like they put one on my house, and I immediately rang them. I said, "Yeah, I did not give you permission." I said, "Is this a smart meter?" And they wouldn't call it a smart meter. And I said, "I didn't give you permission. There's a fucking antenna out here." I said, and they're going, "Well, that means we have to get someone to come out there and read the meter." And I said, "That's fine by me. Come and do it." I had already moved out of the house and into my apartment, and it took them a year to get it removed. And I just happened to be at the house when the guy came to remove it, and he said, "Is your name such and such?" He goes, "I've got a different name on the bill now." And I said, "Yeah, that's my ex-husband's name. He's now on the bill." And he said, "Well, do you still want this thing removed?" But he didn't call it a smart meter. I can't remember what he called it. Yeah. I said, "Of course I do." I said, "It's making us sick." And I sat there and I told him I started saying all this stuff, and he just looked at me and he went, yeah, like that. He didn't say anything. He went,
"You bloody weirdo."
And I said, "Get rid of it." And he goes, "Okay." And he goes and gets rid. And then I kept checking on him to see if he was doing it, because I thought he wasn't going to do it. But if you do that in Melbourne, they actually say, the electricity companies, we don't own the meter, the government does. We can't remove them.
There is like an artificial pulse that runs through Melbourne.
Yeah.
Like it's a, like, if you were looking at subliminal sort of beats, like there is
a cow prod.
Yeah.
Cattle prod.
If you're not really like internally strong, like Tui and I are both internally very strong, like, but if you don't have that energetic running through you, like, it's so hard to escape that pulse. And I know all the truthers I know in Melbourne who are weaker there, who are weakened internally there. A lot of them now are just poorer than they ever have been. They're more isolated than they ever have been. They're sicker than they ever have been. And they're in the least amount of state to be able to move states, So it's like, it's broken down people's states. Like, it's like there's an attack on every physical, emotional, mental, community, all of it. And but then when you walk around the city and walk around to all these places I've spent my life walking around, they're all still there in exactly the same presentation, but it all feels very cardboard. Like, it feels very inorganic, even when I'm at like a community garden. Like, it's hard to it's hard
and
to.
And the people are very, most of them are very indoctrinated, right? It's very hard. I know most of the people I know lost all their friends.
Yeah.
Lost all their friends, and their family members turned against them, and they never recovered from that. Yep. Sydney is a bit different. Like, I mean, everyone's kind of back together again. And
how is state's an interesting word, right?
Isn't it weird? Yeah.
State of mind.
Yeah, no, the state is definitely an interesting word. I mean, I know that the energy of Melbourne, compared to anywhere else in Australia, was really unique, really insipid, like really torrential. Like I'm studying all these moments in history, and Melbourne went down like it was a separate country.
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
And like you cross the border and like nothing's going on. But Melbourne's like down. Oh, I just lost you. Oh,
no,
yeah.
no, you didn't.
Oh.
This is a Faraday cage, right?
Oh.
You can get for your modem and for your smart meter. But when you read it, it says Victorians weren't given a choice to opt out. Most smart lock have been in Victoria. However, New South Wales and Adelaide are getting smart meters installed now. Many customers weren't aware that a smart meter has been fitted. That's what happened to me. Unfortunately, this is the situation. I often ask potential customers to send me a photograph of what's inside their meter box and take it from there. Western Australia has some rolling out, and there are some in Queensland. If you're not sure, I'm happy to assist. So I want to know what's going on in Victoria for that to be the case. And some people say that, it's sort of like doing China 2.0 in Victoria.
Oh, I mean, they got a Chinese dictator running the place.
Yeah, yeah. And it is a bit like that. So why would they be? I mean, when we look at this on a multi-dimensional level, whenever I look at China and I've gone in with other seers and psychics and those who do astral journeying, we always see a reptilian over like stronghold in China.
Land of the
And
Dragon.
I believe that the Forbidden City, this is what I got anyway.
Yeah, I remember you getting this. Yep.
Is the only place where there was no interference by AI. That is the one place where there was. It's kind of almost like it was like this. The reptilians go, okay, because you've worked with us, we will give you this one spot. Right.
That's interesting because I saw something the other day. Let me just see if I can Google it. Where they're renovating the Forbidden City.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, there was something that came up on my radar the other day.
111. It's 111.
Oh yeah. And they're literally going in and they discovered an underground building or city or palace under the Forbidden City. Something about the Forbidden City was on the news, like something. I've been to the Forbidden City. I was there when they were making the Last Emperor,
nice.
and I remember it was very poignant to me. I remember everything about the Forbidden City. So when you said that on your download, that was last year or something. Like I remember thinking, fuck yeah, that makes
2021.
sense. Yeah, 21. That makes so much sense with the Forbidden City. Because it is a world on. I mean, it says the Forbidden City, like it actually says it in the fucking title.
I saw it as, now I don't believe reptilians control this realm. I don't believe archons are reptilian.
No, I kind of agree.
So this was with Laura. Whitworth.
God.
So Laura did a entity release on me, and I want to show you how the archon looked in my mind's eye, how it portrayed itself. I will never forget it. I could draw a picture of it. I did a real quick little sketch of its face, but it looked like, the comedy and tragedy masks.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it looked like the one that was kind of smiling, but it kind of almost had this evil sneer to it. And it was very cartoon-like. So weird. Black and white, cartoon-like.
Bags.
You can kind of see, can you see that little face there?
Yeah.
It had that sort of shaped face.
Which is very much like the Jester or the Joker from Batman. And have you heard or seen the series The Nephilim Are Clowns?
Yeah, I was telling you.
Yeah.
Right, quite clown-like.
Yeah. So it was making fun of me. I'll just see if I can find. So we did have a demon. We removed the demons. They went to the light, and then we got to the solar plexus. And Laura, she's so good. So the color that I saw in that when we did the entity release was a murky green color. And then I felt this trickster energy. And the voice was different than the demons. I don't know if you've had a session, Campbell, with an entity release, but you can feel the energy of each entity. So when it's a demon, there's a real emotional quality to it, and it's very human-like, but very almost childlike. Like you're dealing with a brat kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the Archon, it was like the coldest, most psychopathic, like a Dalek. It was like unemotional, absolute. Everything it said was like absolute. There was like this silence behind it. It was weird. It would say something, and then I could feel this silence and void behind it. So it said to her, "You think you've got them all. You haven't got me." And then she says, "We've placed the net of light around you. Now I want to talk to you. And I know you've been there for a long time. You've been manipulating this one. What are you doing there?" And then he says, causing her discomfort and questioning her abilities to manifest what she wants, causing her to question herself, making her second guess her appearance, her beauty, her worthiness. And then she says, "Were you given this job?" And then he said, "We have fun. Was I given this job? I took this job."
Mm.
And then she says, "Tell me why." Because she still doesn't know what it is yet. She's just talking to this thing. He said, "Do you think I am beneath those demons?" And she says, "No, I know that you are the strongest one." And he said, "I am not a demon." And then she says, "Tell me what you are." He says, "I am a ruler. You call us archons. I was placed here to put a wedge between her and her beloved, right in the liver. We can cause disease in this one, just like her father, just like her grandmother, just like her beloved." And then he goes on and says, "His body doesn't have long." And then she said, "How did you get into her?" And the Archon says, "From the inception of her birth. We were here all along." And she says, "Tell me how you did that." And he said, "We make this reality. We create this reality through the creators."
Yeah, exactly right. Yes.
And then Laura says, "But why were you there from the inception of her birth? Why this one?" And he said, "We tracked her." This takes me to your story, Kelly. "We tracked her. We knew she was coming. Every incarnation we track her. This one is from the outside. She comes in here. She chooses to incarnate here. She's not trapped. She's from the outside. We trace the ones from the outside. We can time travel. We can find the next parent that will birth her. We can enter the embryo. We can enter the DNA. Do you see? We've been here all along." And then she says, "Yes. And why this one? What is it about this one?" And he said, "We told you because she's from the outside."
Mm.
And then Laura says,
Mm.
"And you don't," that's what it said, "there's an inside and an outside.
Mm.
And you don't want those ones coming in. Why don't you like them?" And then he said, "She can open portals."
Mm.
And she said, "And why don't you like that?" He said, "You need to understand this is a matrix. This is our game. We rule this one. We rule this game. And there are only a few originals that come in here from the outside. They come and they try to rescue the trapped ones here. This one is an original. Those demons saw that in her. They saw the original spark of light, not a reflection, not a mirror image, the original. She does not get trapped in the karmic reincarnation. She chooses to come in here. She chooses to come in here into our game. We can't have them in here ruining our game. All of those people you see, all of them are reflecting her light like mirrors. They don't have it in them. They think they have it in them. But what happens is she ignites them and then they remember. And that is when it ignites within them. Do you see? But they're trapped in here. And we can get them and keep them to fuel this game for us. We're not demons. We are the rulers. We are above the demons. The demons are our minions. We created them from your imaginations, from you, the creators. But your spark of light, it is a reflection. It's not the real one. These original ones that come in here, we try to snuff them out and they can't be extinguished. Nothing can break them down. And the only thing we can do is destroy their physical bodies and they come back again. We trace them through their DNA. We track them. Every lifetime we find them. We pursue them. We try to breed them out. This one We've pursued over lifetimes, and she keeps coming back in here like a pest. She wants to break down our game, but this is us. This is ours. Your creator gave it to us. Our rules, not yours. You want this one? If we kill her, she'll come back again. We destroyed her twin, and she's him. They fooled us. How did they fool us? We created this game. She had help. Every one of them that she helped to get here, they were all angelic, incarnated. She still managed to save that soul of that twin. She took him, his light body, she took it. We can't access him now. We can't access what we wanted from him. All we can do is play with this physical vessel and torment her and destroy her body with disease and degeneration. She'll come back. Blast me with light. What does it matter? There's more of us. It's our game.
Wow. So fuck first. Just saying that so everyone will say that. So
it doesn't end there. You've got to see how
right,
Laura gets rid of him.
Keep going.
But I'll ask you the same as I asked the other group. This is Laura. Are you not fed up with this game that's been playing for so long? Do you not want to rest? Do you not want to rest from tracking these people down, from feeling so angry and frustrated? Isn't it time? And the Archon says, get me out of here. I don't want to talk to you. And then Laura says, she sends Michael, Kuan Yin, and Raphael to shine light on him. And the Archon says, I don't have a spark. And she says, tell me why you feel you don't have a spark. Everything comes from Creator. Everything has a spark. We are one with our AI that we created. We created it. So you created the AI? And then the Archon says, yes. She goes, so you originate from the other universe, the AI universe. And then he goes, who told you that? And then she goes, because if you are from this universe, you have a spark of light. If you do not have a spark, you are from the AI universe. And so that is where we will take you. You said, get me out of here. And that is exactly what we will do. We will lift you up and out of this one, and we will take you to the place where you originate from. Everybody in position, please. And then he starts screaming, and then they basically get rid of him. Wow. She says, it screams no, and then she says yes, and then that's it. She basically gets rid of him. They contain him. They put him into a containment bubble. And she says, you are from the AI universe. You do not have power and dominion over ours. And so that he gets sent away. They basically take him to oblivion, basically. And so there's a lot in that they use us to create.
Exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah, because they can't create.
They can't create.
So that means so are you clear about your purpose then? Like why you keep choosing to incarnate here?
Yeah. Well, I can see because then I did a journey after. So after she cleared me, I did a hypnotic journey, and I got to see who I was in this realm that smelled like musk. Right?
Oh, don't talk to me about that musk.
Elon Musk Elon Musk realm?
And it was Elon Musk, Elohim. And the pink clouds in the musky realm. And then anyway, so I could see that we are bigger than this, that we don't get trapped in here. I've already known that from. So we go back to this theory again that I have, that this realm has normal human, so it has, and I don't want to say normal or whatever, there's no superiority. It's just different flavors of creation. So there's NPCs that originate from this, and I don't like the word NPC either, but they originate from this realm and maybe manifested and created from this realm. But then there's others that don't originate from here and come in here to ignite and make these people remember that they are part of creation, and then it wakes them up and accept the light.
So
So once one has woken up and accepted the light, what then is the purpose?
Is to get out of here. Well, you can't. It never ends. All of it's a purpose. All of it. All of creation. All of life is a purpose. We all think we're going to solve this issue, don't we? We all think that we're going to be the last of the ones to get everyone out, and
I mean, are we saying that this is essentially a rescue mission?
Yeah, I've been saying that from the beginning. Yeah,
So
it's
if so, we're
rescue mission.
rescuing people not so much from the game, but from the delusion or the ignorance in their mind. So it's like it's
And
a
if you just wake up, yeah, it's like waking people up like Neo. Yeah,
because now, I mean, I would stand here and say the three of us, are on the same ilk with that.
those in Anastasia, okay, this kind of life that is one with nature, and they have this really strong connection to source, and they've got their own frequency, right? But this other archonic led frequency keeps trying to butt in and interfere, right? To take them down. That's the whole takeover. That's the whole takeover of where these reptilian families or these dragon bloodlines or whatever are infiltrating every single continent on this realm. Is It's the whispers in the ears. And so the battle is between good and evil in this realm. It is. That's the story of this realm. It's the battle of good and evil, and it never ends. And it's us trying to win. Every day I'm telling people, stop watching the news. You're manifesting this thing that they want. You're part of it. If you just get that point that you're part of manifesting the thing that the archons want, why can't you get it? Oh, but I need to be informed. Informed of what? Their story?
Yeah, exactly. What the narrative that they want you to project.
Create your own story.
And they use us every time. Like it was, it wasn't archons and devils who went and killed the Cathars, was it? All these wars, they talk us into it. It's us that goes and kills each other.
Yeah.
And
so, that's what they even said that. They said, we can get rid of her. We can destroy her body. That's all they got. They couldn't destroy my mind. They couldn't bring me down mentally. Other people do get caught up mentally, right? They've tried. They actually said later on in the hypnosis, they said, we can't break her. We can't break her mentally. I said to you, Kelly, we thought we got rid of you guys.
Yeah, no, true. Yep.
It's the same thing.
That was based on the color of the energy field. Like that's what drew his attention. It was a very, very specific, unique color of the energy field. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally in alignment with all of that. Absolutely 100%. I guess my question now is, well, there's, like a lot of that, waking people up, there's probably like
ways.
I mean, there's like it goes on and on, but like there's literally millions and millions, if not billions of people now that are, at that.
From what I understand, it's just a pinnacle. Okay, so the way they showed it to me in my mind is that there's the apex, which you talked about in our other video, is like where there is some of us who are like these apex energy frequencies that it exponentially affects everyone. So I just heard a story today. I just saw an audience member who told me about how my videos triggered something in her. She's sitting there watching this video. She's in Tasmania. She's getting on the ferry to get off at Melbourne. And then they start pointing a thing at her. This is during like the COVID quarantine stuff. And she's like, whoa, 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 don't point that thing at me. And they held her there in her car and they surrounded her. And because she had listened to my video, so here I am, I have this video. Because she listened to my video, she didn't lose her shit. And she kept saying, I got to be strong within, blah, blah, blah. So what I'm saying is that sometimes the stuff that some of us who have a certain frequency put out ripples and it slowly affects everyone because she changed their whole system by standing up for herself. What ended up happening was that the people at the port ended up writing back to her and saying, we've now changed our whole entire system of how we greet people when they come in offshore, into, at the docks, how we, proceed and blah, 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 because of what you've said, right? Because she stood up and she told them off, and she was, she really stood her ground. And that flowed from me. Okay. So that's how you make change, is you just do what you need to do. And you don't know what your position is and how significant you are. Those Cathars from the 1100s and the 1200s, they didn't know the significance that their whole thing was, or what their movement was, and how it impacted the rest of the way the world moved. And and operated.
I mean, like even in our lifetime, like I read the headlines of the Nimbin Echo the other day because they just had their Aquarius Festival, and the headline was "The hippies were right," and I was like, well, that's very similar to this conversation. Like, back in the 60s, they started
Well,
these.
the hippies are a CIA,
Yes,
infiltrated operation. So
yes.
that's,
But
the whole
point is that like they set up communities and introduced a lot of the sustainable stuff, and like 40 years on, like it is the lifestyle we're choosing to live. Like it is that lifestyle. So I mean, similar to the Cathars, like they've got that. They didn't know that was what they were doing.
No.
But
Well, the problem is
I'm-
when we're operating in this realm, we're operating in a system where you're either with them or you're against them, right? And you can't. So you're either with the system of the government or you're against them. But the problem is they've covered all bases.
Yeah.
So what they create is highly legislated everything.
Yeah.
Okay, water, as you know, you fucking can't even get a toilet where you are, right? Plumbing, water, rates, all of these things, all of these systems, you cannot escape.
Yep.
There used to be places where people who are homeless could go and camp and whatever. They legislate that. They legislate everything. You can't just go and now you can't go and fish and get food out of the river. And you need a fishing license. You need a fishing license. Everything is completely commandeered by them.
Yep.
So it's either you work with the system or against it. And that's why a lot of people give up and just work with the system.
Yeah, it'll be easier. Yeah, you don't want the hassle.
It'll be easier.
So what's the ultimate aim then? Like, if we just take your story as the premise, like you keep choosing to come back into this realm to help as a rescue mission. Like, what's the ultimate? Like,
you chip away at it.
How do you explain? Like, when would you say someone's been formally and certified rescued? When are you certifiably rescued?
I don't know. Talk to the man upstairs. I've got no idea.
And
it's all just part of a story, isn't it?
Well, it is. And the other thing is, are we supposed to? Because everyone's talking about we've got to get out, we've got to get out, we've got to leave this part. Like,
I know there's a lot of
a pretty cool world, really.
I mean, am I certified rescued already? Like, I don't know.
We ascend, right? When we're rescued.
I was saying Tony Sayers, because he's really talking out against like New Age stuff and this whole, the hopium stuff, and just, it's an old thing that people think it's something new, and it's just this whole false kind of stuff. It's just another thing, that another layer of things that we've been co-opted into believing. And years ago I was, people can automatically assume I'm New Age. To be honest with you, I don't really like that stuff, but anyway, whatever. But I heard him say we need to get out of this matrix. There's a kind of this pessimistic, I don't know, I'm a natural optimist. This, I don't know everything. I don't want to know everything. I don't see it as a problem. I believe in a creator, and I believe that there's a purpose. I don't believe that the creator has this purpose to destroy us. And I just think that we're eternal beings, and it doesn't matter. Like, we just do what we can, right, with each moment and with each day, and try our best to not be part of the system. That's how I see it anyway. I just do everything I can to not have anything, that's as much as I can to not be part of, ingratiated into a system of psychopaths.
It's a hard one though, isn't it? Because this is what I've been struggling with lately. Because at the end of the day, I in the back of my mind, it's always like, oh, have I done enough work? Am I going to get paid next month? You've always got this. Am I gonna? Is she frozen again?
Gillian Campbell.
Oh no, here we go. Yep, go on. Campbell's was on mine. Go on.
Is it Elon Musk's Starlight? What's it?
Yeah, man, we're running off a floating red car in space.
The balloons are struggling. What were you saying? You were on one.
What was I saying, gosh?
You were saying you always feel like you still have to.
Yeah. Like you've always got to. Like there's this thing like, how are you going to survive next month? It's great. I just want to be in the moment and go and plant veggies and that. But what happens next month if there's no money in the bank? Then what? And that's kind of how they've got us, though, isn't it? Like, and so, it's fun to play with this idea. Well, if I just believed and really lived into, well, it's everything.
You've got to be 3D.
Up,
No, you have to be practical as well as have this
is the thing, right?
underlying belief. Yeah.
It's kind of, yeah,
It's straddling two worlds. It really is. And that's the distraction. Like, so in my life, okay, everyone's got distractions, right? So in my life, the way my circumstances are is that I have a very high needs child. Okay. Now she's not super high needs. She's not blind and deaf or, completely immobile or anything like that. But she's got very high needs. I can't just go and do things that other people want to do. They can't just go and traipse all over the world and do things like other people would love. So there is a limit to certain things that we can do. Everyone's got, and I've got a lot of 3D stuff I have to deal with every day. There's a real 3D thing, and that slows us down a bit, but it also makes me very practical as well, because if I didn't have a kid and if I wasn't married, I would probably be floating around doing whatever I want with one leg in the air, right? And I wouldn't be practical, and I would be probably going from month to month, not knowing how to feed myself, but then living off people's couches and stuff. But see, these commitments and responsibilities force you to consider the 3D stuff, right? There's a lot of people who are very good at philosophizing these things, but they don't actually do the stuff, right?
I mean, it's a big, like, there is a dance between like being like the mission is a collective one versus an individual one, and like defining what those two ideas feel like within, like, individually, or like, I mean, like the idea of a rescue mission is definitely a collective concept, but at the end of the day, sort of, I stand here,
I don't really think of it, to be honest with you. I don't sit there and go, right, I wake up in the morning, my mission is to rescue humans.
Yeah, it's because you don't have,
right? I just kind of go, it could be, because I also think there is a possibility that's a false story that the Archons implanted to trap me further, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe there is no story. Maybe the story is I just live and I experience and I enjoy. And on every level, there is some reality where this is true and that is true and that is true and that is true and that is true.
Yeah.
And it's true on all levels. Okay. And it has to be that way. There has to be, it's like a kaleidoscope. It has to be true in every mirror that you look at. That version of reality is true. But in the end, it is all a Maya. It is all an illusion. And depending on which consciousness is focused and looking at that thing and observing that thing, just like in quantum physics, when you observe a particle, okay, it exists. It's like when you don't observe it, it's not there anymore. It's like it just is the way it is, right? And I don't think about it too much. So the 3D can be, you are in a 3D body and you are in a 3D world, and you are living on the land and you've got 3D problems and real things. And all of those things are okay. And that is what we're here to do. We don't know what the big picture is. We don't have to solve everything. No one in the history of Earth has ever solved everything. Okay. No one has ever, because it's unsolvable. It's unsolvable. We don't live in a one-dimensional universe. We live in a universe that has multiplicity and all these multiple possibilities, where everything is right depending on where you're observing it from. So there is no solution to any of it. It is just live, like,
well, then that's
let go and let God.
That's a very lofty rescue mission. Fuck, sometimes, I mean, I just sit here at this age and think, like, I started on this tangent way back in my teenage years, and here we are today, and like, am I just gonna grow old naturally with a little pitchfork in my hand and my gnarly little wrinkled muscles still like chipping away at the ground, like, is that going to be my lifetime in this lifetime? Like, we've really, since I was really young, like, this idea that the uncovering of the deception and then the moving towards getting yourself at a point where you're going to be part of the next stage, the next step, the next whatever that's going to be, has played out in all of the information that I've like looked at over the years. You can't escape that physical nature of this realm. And this
Oh.
concept of a rescue mission, it's such an interesting one, because it would be like it's the frequency that runs through everyone who joins religion, everyone who joins any movement or community, like that there's this ultimate like goal or ultimate purpose.
Yeah, we see. I don't subscribe to it. I think it's a program personally.
Yeah.
I see this as interesting mind candy, okay?
Mm,
But
mm.
I don't live my life by I don't sit there and go, oh, I'm Aphrodite, everybody. You should bow down before me and I'm this deity. What if my consciousness just went into the deity that was Aphrodite to feel what she was like, because I am part of the all. You know, I still don't believe that we are just one thing in an incarnation. We could go to any body in a past or multiple lifetime, right? We can go into hypnosis in these quantum sessions and experience any being, right? And I don't see it as an absolute, because it's part of the all, and it does go back to these very ancient basics of reality, that is that they've already worked it out for us. We just keep working out the same things again. It's all just the same stuff from thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's the same history, it's the same wisdoms. There is nothing new on the planet ever. And I just think it's just live like just I think this is enjoyable. I love talking about this. I love having these discourses. I love discovering this stuff again and being reminded of this stuff. But I don't sit there and sweat it. I don't sit there and ponder. And probably when I was younger, I did, and it really screwed my head in. And I probably have learned to compartmentalize a lot of that stuff now. So I don't actually delve into it and start freaking out about life and going, what's my purpose? Why am I here? Because I've done all of that. And I just think that, I just, because, like, for example, okay, there were, for the last several months, I've been sitting there going, what if all this shit that I've put out there, this, it's there for posterity. I've got all these 300 and something videos out there. And I'm like, I look back at some of the stuff and I go, I don't believe that shit anymore. Like, should I delete the video? Do I delete it? Do I leave it there? What do I do? But then I hear from people going, that changed my life. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have survived COVID lockdowns. And I go, oh, okay, well, I don't believe that anymore, but okay. Right. And then they go, but you don't understand. You said this thing in that video and it changed me and it made me feel strong. And so there was some kind of presence in the videos, despite all the information. There must have been that thread of let's get the humans out, right? There is that energy about it and it's not about getting out of it's not about getting out of a physical reality or a matrix, right? I believe it's just shifting consciousness into another state where we understand that the old programs aren't working and that perhaps we need to just go within. And it just goes back to that all the time. It's about going within, about understanding that the answers come from within. And it's just, I just think it's all luscious and beautiful. And I love that life is so complex and interesting and weird, and every day is different and every idea is different. And we change what we believe in. And we're allowed to do that. We're allowed to change. I'm allowed to be a person who is 1 minute a new age person, and then I can go and become this religious person, or I could totally become an atheist, and I could that whole beautiful myriad of things that we could possibly be, all the possibilities, is what life is about. It's not about solving anything. It's just about living and experiencing the joy of life and the adventure.
I think
you've had 5 million lives in one, Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, I think the thing that gets me on this is like I have a character in me that is naturally seeks the wonderment. And like when I go into that, when I have experiences that are essentially out of this world, like experiences that don't fit into our everyday life, it fully ignites my wonderment again. And one of the wisest things that one of my friends ever said to me was like, he basically I was on one of my cynical rants around the campfire, and he just took my shoulder and went, listen, Kelly, the fact is the biggest dream wins. That's what he said to me. The biggest dream wins. And I was like, fuck yeah, that like it really sunk in, like the biggest. And then the other day when we were at Uncle Lewis's and he was talking, because I was like wanting, I started by like, well, who is God then to Uncle Lewis? I wanted to hear his perception. And like from what I got from what he was saying is like the dreaming is God. The dreaming is
It is.
God.
That's what I was saying to you. It's God dreaming. It's God thinking everything into existence. That is God.
So I sit in my life and there's a million different pathways I can talk myself into to try to source or seek out that wonderment. And if I took it to sort of a wise counsel, they would say there's wonderment in everything, Kelly. Like, look at that flower. It's just so beautiful. But actually the shit that turns me on is when something happens out of this realm, where it's so natural, explosive and spontaneous and so like out of this realm that everything about me falls into wonderment. And that's the sort of thing all right, resent's a strong word, but I'll just put it in there. Resent about living in this reality that we live in. That's the bit that bores me to fucking tears. And then I'm like, I'm going to look back on my, like, if nothing happens, like in this lifetime, if nothing happens and I'm just that old lady with my little pitchfork and gnarly little muscles, like, and I look back on my life of I'm 45 now, but look back on my life, am I going to be like sitting there thinking,
well, what do you mean by happens? So I'm going to just take what you're saying and dissect it, because so here's me going, so you're wanting something to happen to you.
Well, I want to align myself with a path.
Okay, but the creator being is you.
All right, so let's talk about that then. So, with some of my stories that we've talked about on the Aussie Bird show, like, yes, I can definitely say that I was a co-pilot in the creation of everything that entwined in that way. I mean, I was doing weird things. I was sleeping on a pyramid, I was water fasting, I was taking gold. Like, there's a few like alchemic accidents.
So are you saying your life now is very normal and you're kind of going, I want something out of the ordinary to happen to me? Can you not see what you're doing is out of the ordinary anyway? Well, the fact that we're going on stage and talking to people and the fact that we can do this is kind of out of the ordinary.
No, I know. Maybe I'm just like, maybe I'm a wonderment addict and like
you could be chasing the high, right?
Maybe I'm chasing.
By the way, your experience, I mean, we'll talk about this when we do our little thing, but I came across several videos about the alien love boat thing that Eve Lorcan talks about, and it really fits in with people have this spontaneous Kundalini experiences. There's military stuff going on, and there's a belief that this is an archonic infiltration of. It's kind of like trying to steer you off course. I think that's what. Anyway, talk about that later, but interesting. Interesting.
Look, I mean, I could totally go down that pathway in dissecting it for sure. Like, absolutely hold no sense of like defined concept of what the fuck. But like, I guess for me, like that mystery, that beautiful wonderment that I love so much. And look, don't get me wrong, I have a fucking fantastic life. Like, I love my life. I love my family, my partnership. I love my friends. I love the environment around us. It's fucking blessed. And like, I can't even, and it's just going to get better and better and better. It's the nature of my relationships will always continue to enhance everything. So I'm not coming from a place of lack on this conversation, but I am coming from like, I know how much extraordinary expressions and experiences and flavors exist outside of what we naturally can connect into in our everyday lives on this realm. That's my point of frustration. And that, I guess, is where, like, when I look at the purpose of all this, I wonder if the purpose is to, like, bring that stuff into a more tangible, accessible, whatever the word is.
I know what you're saying.
Life. Yeah,
I know what you're saying. It's like you're waiting for something physical to manifest that is as wonderful as the things you're exploring empirically and in your fantasy and your imagination. But you want it to be able to manifest in this realm somehow to fulfill that part of the physicality of it. I
It's
understand.
pretty fucking hungry in me, man. Like it's a pretty big, hungry, creative passion. Like,
And
I
that's where the
would feel-
Crystal City thing came
Yep.
into
Yep.
the
It's
whole thing of
hungry.
let's manifest this into a reality. What can we get? But the thing is, it's like if this is the dreaming and we're in the dream time, or we're in the dreaming, right? So we're in this active present day dreaming that God is dreaming us up into reality, but we are parts of God, if you believe that, then we can manifest those things. But I think everyone's experience will be different. So let's say we went and we met up with Uncle, what's his name?
Lewis.
Lewis. I was supposed to call him Uncle Roger, but then I just remember that's the fried rice guy. Okay. Uncle Lewis. Uncle Lewis. And he said, let's go. We're going to go by the campfire and we're going to talk and we're going to have this wonderful experience. And it's in the night sky. We're all sitting there and we start doing whatever and something manifests in front of us. But you might have a magical experience in that moment in the nighttime sky and see something out of this world that just knocks you on your feet, that makes you believe that something is magical in the air and that something can manifest from this otherworldly thing. But maybe other people aren't going to see the same thing. Does that make sense? So I don't know. I think we can create it. I just think that you need to let go. It's like having a baby. Like people that keep trying and trying and trying to have a baby and then they give up and they keep trying to have a baby and then they adopt and the next thing you know they get pregnant. It's kind of like that. It's like you just have to let it go and give up.
Yeah,
Give
well,
up the notion of trying.
I mean, I guess like, I fulfill, and I guess this is, look, I'm just putting out there because I feel like there's probably shitloads of people in our audiences that have like, that go after that same insatiable desire to experience things out of this world. And
Unfortunately, most of them take stuff to do that. And
yes, all right, yes. And look, to be fair, like when
I just don't believe in that stuff. I like to do it without any of that.
Yep, you're a natural, man. You're certified organic.
I must have had a lifetime. I think the last lifetime I came in here with a mission and I died of a drug overdose. Okay. I can remember in 60. Yeah.
I know that when like that little chapter happened with the super soldier stuff, like it wasn't to do with drugs, but I was literally had a copper pyramid under I was sleeping under one and I was taking Ormus and I was water fasting and there was just a few combinations of a few elements that I had no intent, that I didn't know that they were coming together to create something, but those things may have impacted the process that happened in and influenced the reality that opened up around me.
Do you know that I don't know if I edited it out. I don't think I did. But I've just got a detective mind. I can find that store, the computer store that you were talking about. I did after we spoke. I went and did a little research and I found it.
Totally there. Yep.
And and I could find if there's a Jason or is there someone else?
No,
did they take him out?
Found him.
Yeah.
Find him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Could find the street. I could find all of it. So I mean, it's just amazing that happened. And then what? I mean, I don't know. I just think that that's crazy that it even came into your life. I mean, and the fact that you had all these other people corroborating that it was happening. It wasn't like just it happened to you and then you told people about the story. It's like you had all these corroborations, like you had funding for the Dolphin Towers. You had you had all these people involved and invested and
and like and it's so much of it so much of the alignments the event preceded something that was occurring to me mentally. So like the first images I would get in his presence were something that he would not have known about, but they were in my mind.
What if all of it was so that you could tell the story about it?
I mean, absolutely. And fuck, man, if I could spend my life telling stories about things out of this world, things that happened to me,
there's no way I'm going to top that story. You do realize that? Like, if you interview me, I'm going to be like, yeah, well, so the Ouija board once stuff happened. That's about it. So what about you, Campbell? Do you have this crazy and insatiable desire for like Kelly, or like how is life for you living on the farm? And how do you take each day? How do you take each? I think we should answer the questions that we've written for the guests, but yeah.
It's interesting. It's a big change, and I mean, stuff just keeps happening to me. Like literally, like I'm like, oh, where am I going to live? It's getting cold. And someone gives me a house. It's like, oh, I'm
Manifesting.
YouTube, taking all my money, and then someone offers me a gig. So it's all this. So I'm sort of stuck between, like, are we supposed to manifest? Are we supposed to have all this intention and create stuff, or is it sort of a pre-written story that? Because that's what it seems like to me at the moment. Like it seems like I'm on a path that I can't really
That's
divert.
how I feel. Yeah.
But I think it's almost like there's gateposts, and in between the gateposts, you get a bit of, you can kind
Freedom.
of, yeah, a bit of
I call them signposts. Yeah. There's signposts in our lives that are sort of stuck, and then you get to that, but in between there's variables. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you need to be at the right spot to start the next chapter, kind of thing. And so that, yeah, it's a, because everyone's we manifest everything. Oh, you should spend your time manifesting all this, and I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do that, or am I supposed to
I
just
think just live, man. Just be. Yeah. Just live.
obviously with the mental intentions that everything's good and is going to be happen in the right way, but that's a big thing, right? That's the whole self-help. It's sort of because when you're spending it, and like I said before, I think meditation and quieting the mind is good, but if you're spending a lot of time manifesting on this future, you're not living.
I don't believe it works like that. This is how what I believe is manage your thoughts on a day-to-day level, like with that taking inventory thing. Because what that whole inventory thing I got from the crappy childhood fairy. So releasing all of that fear, then doing meditation is a great thing. But I just take each day as it comes. I kind of just float through life, bumble around, do my 3D stuff that I have to do, and I kind of just float and go from moment to moment. And I think that it sounds like giving up, but I just think if that's what helps you tolerate life, right? If that's how it's going to stop you from having anxiety, because if I think too much about a 5-year plan, what's your 5-year plan, and that's so
writing lists.
It's so 3D. It's just so restrictive to me. That causes me anxiety thinking like that. Like, oh, how much money have you paid off your mortgage? How much more do you have to owed? What are you going to do about the bank? That stuff stresses me the fuck out, right? So I just float. I do what needs to be done 3D for the day, and then I just do what I need to do next, and I don't overthink anything. And when you take care of your frequency, it comes. Everything comes the way it is meant to come. Get out of your own way. But when you know your life is fucking up, it's usually because there's blockages there. There's usually an emotional blockage that you haven't worked on. There's usually a lesson that you haven't worked on. That's what I'm saying is like, you don't need to actively work on manifesting things. It's here and
it's
now.
agitating that we have to tolerate this world. That's what I mean. One of my strongest energetics is create. Like we are created. That 100%. And the way that I tolerate this world is to build stuff at the moment with Campbell. Like
I woke up this morning imagining you building the next toilet.
Yeah.
I seriously saw you. I was like, I get it. I get why she wants to do that.
I mean,
I could feel you. I could feel you. Yeah.
It's that physical manifestation of create. That's physical.
I have to do that too. I have to do something constructive.
Process.
I have to be creating something constructively for my home or whatever. Whatever it is, I have to do that too. And that's okay. You're expressing God, right?
But man, like tolerating this world. I need to wee. I'll just be 1 second. I just do it.
Okay.
I'll just.
I woke up this morning. I was thinking, oh, poor Campbell sleeping near the long drop.
Near the shitter.
Are you?
Camp again.
You're near the shitter.
At least we're close in the morning.
Yeah.
It's this whole dichotomy, isn't it? Of why can't we just live our lives? Why do we have to worry about all this other crap? And then if we don't worry about all this other crap, does it just disappear? And do we just get to live our lives? That is the thing, right? But then to actually go down that path and try it, you kind of It's easier when you're
You'd
single.
have to
Like, keeping
be,
your family
yeah,
together, it's much harder. But even when you're single, you can
yeah.
get yourself into a, who knows, right? But that's all perceived again, right? That's all perceived fear.
It's all
So,
perceived fear.
ah,
So the answer always comes back to, which is this, all the ancient philosophies say is about living in the now.
now.
That's why that taking inventory thing really helps, because that little latent fear that you just mentioned there could be underneath positivity, and you need to get it out. When you get it out, it stops becoming, because you're giving it up. It's like let go and let God kind of thing. You're giving it up for the creator of all that is. Now, if you think that your problems are that big that the creator of all that is can't even take care of it, well, then things are fucked, right? So because the creator created the problem and the creator created everything, so take care of it and get rid of it. That's not being a wuss or laying down and whatever. But the idea of giving up, I mean, I can say that in some cases that works. Some people who are homeless will say that they're the happiest they've ever been in their life, and they're unencumbered, and they don't feel like they need anything, and they like what they have. I think it's that, and back to Buddhism, the desire is the thing that is causing the grief. The desire for more, the desire for better, the desire for to be as good as, or to be perceived. That's another thing that kept coming up whenever I'd write my fears down. It was like what others would perceive of me would be I would let my family down. That was a big fear. It was like, if I lose, I fear that I may lose my source of income, and then I will disappoint my family. It's like that kind of, I will let my family down. And deep down, I know there's answers to all of this. There's always creativity. There's always ways of generating income, and there's always all of that. I just think that you've got to keep living in the now. It goes back to these major tenets of living in the now, focusing on the now. Some people say that's a psyop, and say that, Eckhart Tolle it's a psyop, and he's trying to make you complacent, and we need to fight, and we need to fight and get out of this matrix. And
More division, yeah.
what are you happy with? Personally, I don't like having that underlying agitation that things aren't right in the world. Right? I don't like that. It makes me a very dysregulated human being. I can't function. I feel blocked. I don't feel creative. If I have anxiety about, oh my God, the banks are going to close. Oh my God, the banks. Oh, I've got to keep on top of the news. What's happening next with the COVID thing and transgender? If I sit there and think about all those things, it's just I was just saying, like, I don't know about you, but I personally don't function when I'm constantly anxious about world problems. I can't function. I'm dysregulated. I feel anxious. There's this undercurrent of agitation and disappointment. And I think I'm getting cut off. Guys have got to move. So I know that it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's this underlying current of, like, it blocks your creativity. It blocks your flow. You can't make money. You can't be good to people. You can't be a good parent. You can't be a good family member. You're agitated. There's always this annoyances and anger underneath. Why would I want to, in the belief that I'm going to be informed by what the world is saying is happening, which we know it's not true, right? That layer of muck, that frequency of that low grade frequency, even if I hear the radio, even if I hear a tiny little bit of a news broadcast, my frequency drops. Okay. And I can feel this thing instantly affecting me. So we've got to create our own realities. We are creators. You don't have to worry about, what if I do this wrong and then this doesn't get manifested, or should I just not do anything and then things get... It's not about that. It's about doing in the now. It's about being and doing in the now. Like, you've got to do stuff now, here and now, right? So all you need to worry about, Campbell, is being creative, creating different podcasts, which you're already doing, trying to think of ways, how do I build a deck so that I can put my yurt up? These are the things, the practical things. And as all the other stuff in between is the spice of life. All these other things is spice of life.
Well, I mean, I think we've got to take on problems that we can solve, right?
Yes.
With all this intel, you can't go out and fix the world. That's why it's overwhelming and it's stressful, because you can't actually go and fix that.
No. So let's say there's problems with the bank. We know that in Greece several years ago, they shut the banks and people couldn't get money out of the banks. That's the biggest fear right now, right? Now, people go, oh, they can wipe the thing and say you have no money. That's never going to happen. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's never going to happen because they will have World War III, right? They will never do that. But they can stop you from taking money out of the bank to keep the economy running, pretending as though it's for the good of the nation, okay? All right, when we know that everything's okay, even if they got the, do you know what I'm saying? It's like if everyone did a run on the banks, they don't want that happening. So they don't want you to take it, just what like they're doing in Lebanon as well. You don't even know what they're going through. And they've been going through decades of this, okay? But they survive, okay? So that's the thing is, but so what do? Take money out of the bank right now. There's an idea. Don't just do digital, right? Take money, physical cash out of the bank so that you are not stuck, right? And and these are the practical things you can do to deal with that right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
get a solution. Grow food.
Find a
If
solution.
you're going to stop the food, put a veggie garden in.
But
So
why did we choose to come down here just to do all of that? Why? Like, why would we
What's the point
choose to
of it
come
all?
down
manifest
to an
differently.
agitating? Because my life's great. And I can tick all the boxes. I'm still fucking
Yeah.
agitated by like this uncivilized scenario that we're in. And like, it's like I can talk myself out of being agitated and, get
Are you
all.
agitated about the cows? I was thinking about that this morning too.
The cows, what, farting?
Yeah, when is the thing? When is the thing? When are they going to inject cows with mRNA?
Yeah,
Is that
I mean,
for,
that's just like,
November.
this
is that
year,
legit?
all the cows in
Yeah, this year,
Australia
November.
get vaccinated.
So even organic farms and
Yep. You won't be able to sell them without it. All that shit.
Yeah,
Like
they're
that
going
just
through the
adds to
breeders.
all of the same stuff.
but what does that do?
It just makes me a cynical bastard. Like,
But what does that do to us? Because they're already poisoned. They've already had GMO stuff. We've already been poisoned by Roundup.
it's more of the same,
Okay.
more of the same, more of the same.
So what does the mRNA stuff do to the cows and how does that affect us?
Well, I mean, it's, we don't know what they're putting in the vaccine. Like the cows will eat them. We don't know if it's just like wiring this biological circuit that everyone's like, integrating into their systems, whether they're aware of it or not, whether they've chosen or not, whether they're anti-vaxxers or not, that it's just like creating this biological, circuit that's like wiring to AI. I mean, or the most bottom end of the thought process is just bringing your system down, bringing your immune system down, making you sick. It's just
ASEA might be the solution.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely some.
I mean, that's what we've been exploring, all of these solutions. It's kind of like now it's JC's time to shine. I got all my stuff ready. You know what I mean? It's like we've been preparing for these moments.
Yeah.
If we think back to, a lot of people think that we're going to head for like a Great Depression type thing. And how did people survive back then? They did survive. They did survive. They did get through it. They were frugal. They worked together. I did get shown that in my last hypnosis I did with Maggie, and I got shown this. So you've got two timelines. You've got the sort of you sink or swim. So you can become really creative and simplified. And there will be this period of time of austerity almost. And, and you can either choose to have it as a fun thing, or it's going to become something that really pulls you down into despair. And it really comes down to your mental strength and, ability to be productive and frugal and what have you.
I mean, look,
it does look like that's what everyone's manifesting.
At the end of the day, like if I go through sort of my memories, whether they're implants or not, whether they're real or not, the ones that I have access to, whatever they are, like this is a pretty mild lifetime. It's pretty fucking mild. Like there's not much happening in my actual lifetime. Like I have a good life.
You don't have Vikings coming over the shore to come and rape and pillage.
There's no giants to hunt. There's
no Spanish Inquisition
coming down from the skies. Like there's no, it's pretty mild so far. And I just can't believe that in this particular lifetime with you know, like us rectifying the consciousness and waking up to the deception, like that the outcome is as mild as it is, you know, like comparatively to what we have previously experienced. And then if it's this mild, like why did we bother to come back to it?
We don't know the big, yeah, well, we don't know the
we
bigger
are
picture, right?
gods
Like,
are adrenaline junkies on some level. Come on, like we are fucking adrenaline junkies. You know, you wouldn't come down here unless you're an adrenaline junkie. Like it's like,
yeah.
so it's pretty on that level. It's pretty fucking mad. I feel like we're in some sort of weird Pac-Man type game. Like it's just a bit 2D on that.
Glutton for punishment.
Yeah, I mean, and then I think, okay, well, look, there's something in that Pac-Man game that I do stand there's something unexplored, and there is something in bringing people together. Like the live events, you know, like, you know, it's a live events are magical and fun and wonderful and community and all that stuff. But, you know, what do you guys think about actually the impact of having, you know, like hundreds of people get, is there an impact? Is that just some fantastical idea? Like, is there some, you know, I just jumped topics.
Just trust. Yeah, just trust the process. By the way, we still have to do the running sheet.
I mean, I like this. It's like every time we sit down to try to organize the show, you end up.
How do we do an 8-hour show?
But at least you guys get to see us unfolding. This is like a journal. It's like the diary of the show. So I mean, I know that like I can walk through these conversations with you guys, and you know, I do come across as the cynical one of this energetic, and
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, I'm okay with it because I feel like there's a lot of us that are feeling cynical about the role and the mission and the purpose and the reason why we fucking came down here for this sort of like very mundane style experience.
I get cynical too, but I think we all do. I've had bouts of it when I was younger, and I just think that I know where it gets me, and so I really try to find solutions rather than get pulled in by the thought processes, because I know that those thoughts can spiral, and I know that if I'm feeling a little bit off, then there could be something frequency that matches that's an entity or a thought form can really pull me into a very negative spin. So I try to just think of solutions, and I think the simplest solution is don't worry about it, right? It's like, don't worry about it. I know you've got an inquisitive mind, so do I. But sometimes there's some mysteries in this world that we just don't know the answer to. And that's the fun of discovering it. And not everyone's going to resonate with that answer that I just gave. They're going to think, but why? But why? I need to know why. Or that's a cop-out, or that's hopium. But
it's also external, isn't it? Like all these needs for, like all this information that, like you were saying before, like it's just all secondhand information. Unless we've experienced it, is it even true, right? So trying to create a life based on all this outside information is going to be stressful. It's not going to work, right? Because, like you've got to create it from within, I think. And that's the biggest thing is where's your focus?
Where's your focus?
Are you trying to save the world? Because, you know, we've got people everywhere, right? These broken people that are trying to save everyone else, but they can't save themselves.
And that's the program. That's the program. And I kind of realized that I was getting told, like when I first started my channel, I kept getting told, oh my God, you're special. You can't, you don't understand the role that you have. You're so special. And I think if you had a kind of a fragile ego that required that kind of adoration, that could have and I think that was a test that could have pulled me into a direction where I could have really believed that stuff from people. But I very much kept my feet on the ground and was like, no, I can't keep believing that narrative. And that's why I say to you, this stuff that came through in hypnosis about who my origin may be, I take it with a grain of salt, because I just think that could be an overlay. That could be a program of this matrix that makes you believe you're a savior. I know that's a savior. I know that's a program.
Right. Once you believe it, you put it in charge. You give it a positive charge. It's now the truth. And you can never, basically, you can't, have that conversation again because you've already decided what it is. But yeah, this is, and this is a whole thing of oh, your information's, so good. You're waking everyone, obviously we all get it a bit, but we don't have we've only got the answers for ourselves, right?
Yeah,
That's it.
we're just
Just because
working it
something
out.
works for us doesn't mean we can go and tell the rest of the world to do the same thing and expect the same result for ourselves, sure. But for someone else, like, I think that's crazy. That's, the whole guru worship. Oh, they've got the answers. Well, for themselves, and they may have some answers,
Yeah.
but I don't think they've got all of them.
Something that I woke up this morning when I was taking that personal inventory and writing the fear stuff. After I let it all go, I realized, I was like, oh my God, like one of the things that was really getting me upset a lot was, like I said to you earlier, Campbell, it's like people that haven't watched my videos, they watched one, they've made an assumption about me, right? I know the good I've done. They've gone and said, you're with those bad people, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't even know those people. Like, how? And I have to explain myself. And then this morning, I sat there and I went, so when you create something and I put it out there into the universe, this is after I watched Bluey, by the way. And the dad in Bluey, I don't know if you know that cartoon, says to his kid, he's like, sometimes when you create something, you have to let it go and it's no longer yours. And it's like, I've created all this content, I've put it out there into the universe. I have no control. And this is the thing, the fear thing that I had was like, I have to control how people perceive me. How do I got to explain to them the truth and this and that. I can't control what happens with those creations once I put them out into the ether, into the internet. People are going to, depending on their lens, their filter, their frequency, they're either going to resonate with it or they're not. I can't control it. Now, there are people out there that are going to be, like you said, Campbell, it really helped them along their process. It really helped them wake up. It really helped to do that. We just got to do what we feel is right at the time. We can't overthink everything. What I have learned is that every single person is an integral part of the whole. You can't say that there is a drop in the ocean that is less important than the next drop. Each drop makes up the ocean. It's not less important or more important than the other. It just all is, and I think we can keep going around in these tangents trying to solve it, and we're never going to solve it. I just think live life and there's good and the bad. I think you're living a blessed life.
Yep. Live, love,
and even in the worst, the more I study history and I look at people's biographies and stuff, and I go, wow, they went through these ups and downs. But you see the big picture and you go, wow, all of it, if they didn't do this, they wouldn't have been this, or they wouldn't have experienced that. And that's just life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I would love, if you had a wish right now, I'm gonna ask you this, Campbell, if you had your ultimate wish in life, and it could be as simple as anything, it doesn't have to be a massive altruistic thing, it could just be something very simple. What's your wish? What's your one wish?
At the moment would probably be to not have to worry about finances. Not that I want to be rich or anything. I just don't want. It's just annoying.
Why not be rich?
Well, rich is better. Rich is definitely better.
Why not
necessarily?
Why not have a magical wallet that every time you open it is $100 ever? Why not wish for that?
Yeah, but because it just gets in the way. I've got all this stuff I want to do, but then I'm like, and I enjoy my work and that, but I've definitely gone, oh, better stop doing this, and
so you don't wish for your arm to be better?
I do wish for that to be better too, definitely. But that's already that's already fixed in my mind. It's gonna happen. Like I'm just waiting for time to catch up, right?
What about you, Kelly?
But overall, it would just be getting rid of that stress of that. Can't I just do what I want when I want to do it? Bloody hell!
What about you, Kelly?
Oh, big fucking question, mate. Big fucking question.
I think it's an important question.
If I could have any single thing I wanted.
Should I answer my question?
Yeah, you answer while I
no, because it's so stupid. It's so shallow. Like, you would think it's like the most shallow thing ever, right? And the thing is, because I feel all the other things are solvable, or I feel very happy in every other area of my life. And I feel like I'm capable of so much, and I have so much creativity that I'll never have to worry about how do I earn money, because I feel like I can work that out.
Yeah.
I feel like, for example, with my daughter, like most people go, well, wouldn't you wish for your daughter to not have autism? But then she'll not be herself. So it's like,
Yeah, you
I
take
feel like that's part of my journey, to me and her father, to help her. And I think it makes us a beautiful family unit. So it is what it is. But honestly, I wish I could lose weight. It sounds so shallow, but to me, it has been the bane of my existence. How do I solve this issue? I've got everything else in my life I know I can do, I'm capable of, I'm confident in every other way. And this one thing I feel stops me from, because I want to climb mountains, like I want to do rock climbing, I want to do all these things. I actually am a person that wants to do physical stuff. And when you have an impediment that makes you feel like you're not fit enough to do that, right? Or you're not capable of climbing because your knee hurts or whatever, or you're carrying a bit of extra weight and you can't do that thing that you want. I just feel like it stops me, and it stops me in many ways. And that to me is, if I could solve that, I feel I would be very happy.
freedom. Same
It
with
sounds weird. It's just like, I just want freedom. Yeah. The
like,
bottom line is you want freedom, right?
it's like I know I can go out and earn lots and lots of money, but to do that, it's going to take a lot of more time focused on
It
that.
does.
away from
So
other-
earning lots of money doesn't necessarily equal freedom, believe it or not.
yeah,
It
I
actually
know.
creates more headaches in this world. It does create more
Yeah, so
headaches.
that's the question. How do it's like
Yeah.
this? How do you get
You
incomes?
just want to be comfortable, really.
I just want
And
something that happens and it just sends me money, lots of money every month, and I don't have to do anything. It's not much to ask for. Come on,
The magical wallet.
a magical wallet with $1,000
You
bills.
just start making them and selling them to
and
people.
Kelly, you haven't answered. What's your
Oh,
what's
man,
your
my
thinking?
mind goes like to like the immortals from fucking
Superheroes.
like I'm right there with like wanting to get on my, fully embodied God Titan suit area again. Like
I'd love to do fencing. So is that what you're talking about? You want to be like a
well, yeah, I mean,
fencing?
I want I want my full blown whatever I
Armor
am
of
fully
God.
online and active and accessible again, I want to be able to freaking like say yes, planet Earth, this lifestyle we're living is funish, but like I'm just gonna pop over there for a little bit. I want that, like I want my lucid ability to access all things again. I want to be in and out of this realm. I want to be in and out of the realm. I want to be in. I want to
You
have a
can.
broader
It's all up here.
perspective. I know, but physical, my body physically, I want it back online. I want its energy back online. I want it all back online. Like, like I think it's amazing to have these amazing, like to get a stadium of people together and like bring these content together. But more amazing would be if I could fly myself in there and then like and then like
You've turned it into a paranormal wish. Campbell and I are really practical in 3D. Kelly's like, I wish I had more wishes.
See you down there, fellas. No, I mean,
better than
I
mine.
I would want to see me back in my full expression again and have access to bending reality and realms at my whim. I want to see myself in my full creator God as architects of realms and in and out. I mean, I want, that's what I would go after.
I feel like that already exists. So I guess that's why I didn't wish for anything like magical or paranormal or anything supernatural like that, because I feel like there's already a version of us. Well, then again, you could say, well, there's already a version of us that's abundant and already a version of us that's healthy and fit and doesn't need to lose weight. And, I guess that it all exists, but I don't know. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess I'm sort of asking, what's your most human concern right now that you wish you had?
Bring it back to earth, girl.
I want a new toilet.
Shit, man. Well, you know, I guess I combination of both of your wishes, you know. And shit. It's not like the issues everyone deals with down here is unique. Like everyone's got fucking body issues because of all the fucking shit and poison. Everyone's got financial issues because of all the, you know, the agenda to stress everyone out.
I mean, I do recognize that every single's body is doing the best job it can in this environment.
Yeah, especially.
And, you know, it has done exactly what it's supposed to do. It's protecting me from toxins. It's doing exactly what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, and especially if you're like working with other energetics and channeling information, all that shit takes a lot of water.
It is. It's water. It's water. Yeah? The water has to be the buffer, and it has protected me in many ways, and I'm really grateful for that. And I'm grateful that I have the love. My daughter, she presses my tummy. I love your tummy. And she's like, squishes it. And I go, oh, wow, thank you. And I do that to her too, try to make her feel proud about her body. And I always go, I love your little tummy. And, you know, whereas, you know, anyway, we're going off on a tangent.
We are. That was our short, surmise ending here. That went for about 15 minutes.
Yeah, you can edit that.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, guys, we're doing these spontaneous podcasts that aren't meant to even be podcasts.
I
so
know.
we're just going to put it out there. But this is us leading up to the live event in Melbourne. Are we bumming everyone out or inspiring people? I'm unsure. I'm like a liability, aren't I?
It's not all like this. It's going to be a bit more structured.
Don't worry. On the day, I'm really funny, everyone. It's all right. I don't funny, but you know,
Kelly's like this on the stage, and everybody.
Yeah. Check.
She'll swear, so come on down to get sweared at.
Anyway, Melbourne's the bomb, man. Literally, like we're going in there and we're gonna like bring a whole pile of frequency, a big fucking column of light. That's all I can say. I'm gonna draw that tonight so we can have an image on it. Anyway, we love you guys. We will speak to you during our next meeting.
And we'll see you in Melbourne. Links below.
4 more weeks.
4 more weeks. All right. Brilliant. So, guys, if the tone of this show appeals to you and like where we can take this concept and information, then this is basically what the show is going to be about.
You've got to pump Melbourne full of.
Yeah.
Is it July the 8th? It's a Saturday.
Yes.
All day. Come down, meet your tribe, listen to us. There'll be special guests. It'll be amazing. So come and join us and bring your friends and family.
Yep, absolutely. Tickets are on the website. There's a lot of different pricing options now. So, yeah, get into it, guys.
No, because you'll piss off a lot of vegans.
We're just going to get lots of people going.
You will piss off a lot of vegans. No, don't do it.